Let's talk about BookTube. Hi, I'm Alex, this is Pucksandpaperbacks, where I love to shout about queer and trans books, and I've been on this platform for over 10 years. With Instagram's policies changing and the inevitable ban of TikTok, a lot of folks are coming over to BookTube, which makes me so happy. Hello, welcome, if that's you. So I thought for today's video, I would sit down, have my coffee, and tell you all about BookTube, things that have worked for me, things that haven't. This is not about going viral. It's just welcoming you to the community and telling you how I run my channel. I am not the end-all be-all. I don't know everything. I'm still learning, but I do have some good tips for you. And as a trans creator, I want to pass off my knowledge to queer and trans folks so you have a safe space here on YouTube. So without further ado, let's get started. If you find this video helpful at all, leave a like and a comment. Let's get into it. The question I get asked most, mainly from my BookTube friends, is what should I do to make my videos better? And nobody wants to listen to me. I may be calling some people out right now, but research. Any friend of mine that has come to me asking how do I grow on Instagram, how do I grow on YouTube, I say, have you researched? Have you looked it up? Have you looked at videos about the algorithm? I have created playlists for people about videos that I've really enjoyed that have been helpful for me. Maybe I'll link some of my favorite videos down below if you're interested. It's all about research. I love YouTube. I love to research about the algorithm and just know how I can grow better. So by watching videos on how to grow, I think that is the best way to learn, you know? If you want to know about something, you research it and you gain more knowledge. One person in particular you may have heard me mention before is Katie Steckley. I use so many of her tips. I've implemented them this year as I've made a goal for myself to make YouTube more sustainable. I have created a consistent schedule, organized my files, and she has taught me everything just through her videos. I think she is the best creator talking about social media and growth in a sustainable way. There are a bunch of channels out there talking about how to go viral and how to grow to 1 million followers in X amount of days. This isn't realistic for any platform, but YouTube specifically doesn't work that way. Yeah, it does happen to some people, but it's probably like 1% of people who join and one of their videos goes viral. But also virality isn't everything and can be hard to sustain your audience after that. I had a time where my channel plateaued in at least 2018, 2019 because I was in college and it just was not a good time for me to be making YouTube videos. And I really felt that when I returned in 2020 and I had to basically build my channel back up and find out what I want to talk about, what my niche is, which is queer books. If you're somebody who has moved from TikTok or Instagram over to YouTube, that's something you need to know is the growth here is very slow. So work on building your community and engaging with the community, commenting on people's BookTube newbie tags, commenting on their recent wrap-ups and things like that. That is how you build community and insert yourself into a community. One piece of advice I advise to not do is to comment, hey, I just made a channel, or hey, I just made a video like this. I will say in certain aspects you can. Like, let's say I made a book rec video and you recently did too, and you're like, oh, I love this video. I actually just made one too. That's gonna make me more curious and wanting to click on your channel and go over to your channel versus if your first time commenting on my channel is, hey, I just made a BookTube channel, check it out. I'm gonna probably block you from my channel because that is not how you build community. By commenting and engaging, that is the best way. I also think engaging in all aspects of the community. Personally for me, aside from BookTube, my community is on Instagram. That's where I talk to most of my friends who are bookstagrammers or booktubers, so I feel more of a sense of community over there. That's why I am not on, like, I mean, I tried Threads, but it was really toxic. It gave me a lot of anxiety, and Blue Sky, I just don't want to have a new social media, so Instagram is going to be my place, and I'll talk about it further in a reading vlog about why I'm staying on Instagram specifically, because if you haven't heard, Instagram has rolled back on fact checking and they are going to be more anti-LGBT. They removed their whole policy about LGBT inclusivity, and it is just a dumpster fire there, but my community is on Instagram, so I'm not going to leave. I want to be a bigger voice on Instagram, sharing queer books as I do on here. So if you really want to build community by engaging with other booktubers and answering comments in a timely manner, let's say you pick a day of the week. Maybe it's Fridays that you have more time in your day. Or if you're going to upload on Thursdays, maybe you pick that to be the day that you're most active on YouTube and are answering comments. That's how you build your community and audience. And sometimes even having a follow-up question to start a discussion, because engagement grows your video. When somebody comments, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a hate comment, it could be a nice comment, it could even be an emoji. That tells YouTube, hey, people are liking this video, so I'm going to push it out to more people. I'm not here to share about how the algorithm works because there's so many videos like that, but that is one of my little tips. Next, SEO. That is a huge one. This stands for search engine optimization, and every YouTube advice channel will tell you this. Keywords are your best friend on YouTube. YouTube is a search engine, and to get more people to your channel, you need to make searchable content. For instance, for me, when I make my book recommendation videos, I use a service, TubeBuddy. I have a referral link that I'll share down below if you're interested, but TubeBuddy helps me figure out what is the best keyword for my title and my description. So you need to find what your keywords are to put into your title and description to be searchable. So I just made a book rec video where I shared popular book tropes. So I search it into my search bar on YouTube and I see what other people have done. So I'm taking keywords from their titles and making my own title. And so I came up with 15 queer romances based on popular romance tropes. My keywords are queer romances and popular book tropes. People are probably searching that. If you search on YouTube in incognito mode, you can type in book recommendations for blank, and whatever is searched there is great for your channel. I recently watched a video that was so eye-opening to me. The woman went to the analytics of YouTube and clicked see more, went to her traffic sources and YouTube search, and saw in the last 28 to 90 days what people searched to go to her channel, and was like, make videos about that. So I'm gonna start doing that on my channel, and I was like, that is so genius. If people are searching for your channel for a specific thing, make it for them. So they're like, hey, Alex made this video. I was waiting for him to do this. It just helps people get to your channel. That's why I make a lot of book rec videos, because they're called evergreen content. Evergreen content is long lasting. It is relevant all the time. For instance, my romances video, that's gonna be relevant all the time. Next February, maybe when people are looking for romances, Pride Month, things like that. When I make my wrap-ups, that is more time sensitive. My reading wrap-ups, people aren't going to be watching every year. They're going to be looking for it at a specific time. And this helps me pivot into something I tell everybody, and they still don't listen to me. So hopefully somebody out there will listen to me and take this advice. It might be time consuming, but if you're like me, I plan everything ahead in Notion. And I know what book titles I'm going to include in my video before I even make it. So I put it in my little page on Notion, and then you can copy and paste that into your description, because YouTube is a search engine. If you put the book titles into your description box, this is going to help you and the viewer. The viewer is watching your video and you mentioned a book. Maybe you talked really fast and they didn't know what title it was, and the cover on the screen, it's a little pixelated, it's hard to see. But if they go to your description and the title is there, it benefits them. They can go look it up on Libby, add it to Storygraph, maybe purchase it, and it will make your video searchable. If somebody is searching that title into YouTube, your video is going to come up. Yes, it can be tedious, but if you are pre-planning what books are going to mention, it's so painless, and then you can also copy and paste it as your chapters. If you're someone like me who loves analytics, I recently did a video for my patrons in January where I shared my channel assessment, going over my analytics, how my channel did in 2024, and shared my 2025 plans. I have that video right now on my Patreon for $5, or you can become a paperback pal for the same price and get exclusive content. So I figured I would just let you know about that if you're interested. I already touched on community, but I figured I would come back to it and give you some more tips. But some other tips I have for that are interacting in the community. Readathons, reading sprints. That's how I interact with the community. I love reading sprints. They really help me be able to focus while I'm reading and do some body doubling. And you meet new creators along the way. If you're a new creator, going into the chat of reading sprints I think is so beneficial. Also doing the BookTube newbie tag, that would be my first piece of advice for a new channel, because it helps you introduce yourself to the community and more people can find you that way. Also, if you're participating in a readathon, doing a readathon vlog, that will help more people find you, because if there's a popular readathon and somebody searches it on YouTube, they may find your vlog and subscribe to your channel. For this video, I asked over on Instagram if there were any questions people had, and most people asked me, what do I use? What can I use to start a channel? And you have it right here. It's your phone. There are so many creators who use their phones. Cindy started with her phone. And now that short form content's really popular, there's those mini microphones. I have one for my short content on Instagram, and they're pretty cheap. I will say invest in audio. Even if it's a pop mic, a clip-on mic, audio is so important. If you are whispering, I'm gonna click off your channel. I have no idea what you're saying, and most of the time people don't caption their videos, so I don't have the time to decipher what people are saying if they are whispering to the camera. For me, I'm currently using the Nikon Z30. It's a vlog camera from Nikon, and I love it so much. It's so tiny. It's a point and shoot. I love it so much. I will say my only con is the battery life kind of sucks. I feel like I have to charge it a bunch, but my old camera was the Canon Rebel T7i, I think, or T5i. It was something like that, and that lasted me 10 years. Last year, I had to get a new camera, so that one lasted me forever, and I filmed a lot of videos on that. But again, you can just use your phone. For editing, I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I started with Sony Vegas, and I learned through YouTube tutorials. Two free options are, if you have a Mac, iMovie. I know some people still use Windows Movie Maker, and there's Filmora. I've never used that, but DaVinci Resolve is another one that is free, and Katie has great videos about editing on there. Speaking of creating videos, one thing I wish I didn't do as a new creator, and I don't think I started doing this until like 2020, and I started in 2014, back up your files. Back them up. Get a hard drive. I will link down below the one that I use. For years, I didn't back up my files. And it put me in a bad situation because I was deleting some content on my channel one day and I accidentally deleted that video and I didn't have it backed up, and I was like, fuck. And that was the moment that I was like, I need to back up my files. I was so accustomed to just editing, uploading, and deleting. I don't know why, but I wish I never did. So get a hard drive and back up your files, especially because you're probably gonna need them at some point. Maybe you're making a video and you want to refer back and you want to put it on the screen, and then you're like, well, I didn't save it. Please don't be like me and save your files. I'm gonna give you some tough love right now, but if you're thinking of starting a channel, make sure you're in it for the right reasons. A lot of YouTubers will tell you this, but BookTube is a very time-consuming hobby. It involves reading. Editing takes a while, especially if you're doing reading vlogs like I do, which I'm currently procrastinating on. You need to be consistent, and if you don't have the time for that, I would just strategize what you are going to bring to BookTube. And there are plenty of ways to be a booktuber. That's what I love about BookTube is it's not a community where you need to have this fancy lighting and have the best videos. Now, I could talk about other things with the YouTube algorithm, as it's not as LGBT friendly, it's not as friendly for people of color, especially black folks. The algorithm is very racist, and it can be tough, especially if you have other life commitments. Maybe you work a 9 to 5, you have kids, you have a family, you have a lot of things. This is a very time-consuming hobby and sometimes can be expensive. Use your library. Do not go out and buy every single book that you saw. I did that when I first started, and I don't even think I read half of those books. I just remember being so excited that I just bought all of these books at Barnes & Noble. And now, primarily I read from my library. I don't even read physical books most of the time. Last year, I had more library books read versus owned or physical books. There are so many ways that you can sustainably be a booktuber. And even if you feel a little disheartened and stressed out, because BookTube can sometimes feel like a competition. There's people doing 24-hour reading sprints and reading vlogs. It can be a lot, but make sure you're here for the right reason. Are you here to talk about books? Because that's why most of us are here. Definitely think about that before you're going to make a channel, and just know that it can take a while. It's a very time-consuming hobby, so I just want to let you know that if you start your channel and you're like, oh my god, this is a lot. Yes, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of time, but it's a hobby. So remember, if it's a hobby for you, to treat it as a hobby and people will come. BookTube is not about going viral. And I think that for most platforms, if you are planning to go viral, then you're not in it for the right reasons. Most of us are here to just talk about books. So just make sure you're in it for the right reason before you're gonna make content. Also, treating it like a hobby is going to be way more beneficial for you, because then you're not going to be thinking about numbers and thinking about things like that. I don't suggest to be looking at the YouTube studio all the time, and that is something that I also need to work on. But for me, it's more, I just want to talk to people, and so I'm like, oh, what do people think of my video? What do people think? Because you spend so much time on it that you just want to know what people are thinking. Next, boundaries. For everybody, especially my queer and trans people, YouTube can be a safe space for you. I saw when people were talking about transitioning from TikTok to YouTube that they were really scared and weren't sure about the safety of themselves on YouTube. And I thought that was so interesting, because I feel like that about TikTok. And also, I feel that in the world we're living in right now, queer people are not safe anywhere. But you can make a safe space for yourself. YouTube has great moderation systems. I highly suggest to utilize those. There is a moderation feature where you can make somebody a moderator, so maybe some friends or family members, maybe your partner, something like that. Somebody that is going to help you to not see negative comments. BookTube isn't really like that, I don't feel, or maybe I just haven't felt like that. I mean, I'm a white trans man, so please take my story differently than other people. I believe that people can get bad comments. I have been on the front of that before. I have done things to where I don't have that anymore, so I'm gonna tell you here. There is a section where you can block words. I have transphobic slurs, my dead name, just the word dead name, and a list of things that have come up in my comments or other people's. I'm a part of a creator group and they have shared their blocked words and I implemented them onto my channel, and they will just be held and you don't have to see them. I will say the held sometimes is annoying because somebody put a hashtag into my comment section and it went into held. I always try and check held as much as I can because it can happen. I even have sometimes just random comments that show up in Held that I don't understand why. There was also a time where the word queer was banned in every comment section. My friend Kathy made a video about that, and so you had to censor what you were commenting on our videos. So a lot of the times we have to do stars or things like that. Like, I commented on Kathy's video using queer, and she sent me a screenshot that it showed up in her notifications, but she couldn't see the comment, so it was blocked by YouTube, and it didn't even go to Held. So there's sometimes that happens. I don't believe that happens anymore. I haven't seen it personally, but honestly, it could happen. So protect your peace. There are so many ways you can do that, especially as a queer and trans person. Any big thing is to set boundaries with your audience. I didn't do that after I came out as trans, and I should have, because the comments were... There's a reason why I don't make trans-related content, because the comments were just too much for me to handle. There were some mean ones from trans people telling me that they hated these books, and it was just too much for me. And then I would have really invasive comments, and I shut that down really quick. Over on Bookstagram, a lot of people were doing posts where they asserted their boundaries and shared their boundaries. So I did that on Instagram, and then I translated it to a video. I'll link it down below. And once I did that and was like, hey guys, stop. Please stop asking me questions that I don't want to answer. Also, people would literally come into my comment section asking how to write a trans character because I mentioned something about dysphoria, and so now I'm very conscious of what I talk about because I want to be open, but I also am a private person, and being a trans person, I just want to protect my peace. And I don't want to log on and have invasive comments. And ever since I did that, I never had one again. Maybe I got some occasionally. Sometimes I get comments of people asking me about my life story and why I came out, and people saying oh, I think I'm trans, can you help me out? I am a BookTube channel. I am not a guide to being trans. I am just a trans guy. There are tons of trans channels who I love that share about this. Again, YouTube is a search engine. I am not talking about being trans. If I do, it's on my own terms. I made a video where I read Elliot Page's book recommendations. A few years ago, I made a video where I read books with my name in the title and shared how I picked my name. Those are all instances that I share about being trans on my own terms. And if you're queer or trans and you want to talk about that on your channel, do it at your own time and think about what you want to reveal online and what you don't. Because there will be people that are asking you questions, and there are going to be people telling you that they hated these trans books, and it can be a lot sometimes. Everybody's open to their own opinion about books, but sometimes it could be a lot. And so I'm just letting you know, assert your boundaries. Be like, hey, I'm not gonna be talking about how I came out or things like that. Or maybe you want to, but make sure you know what you want to talk about. Protect your peace at all costs. And if there is somebody in the comment section who has just been getting on your nerves, being so rude, block. Block and move on. The block feature is amazing. You can also hide a user from your channel. I think YouTube has really great moderation, and that's why I was confused when I saw a bunch of book talkers being like, oh, the comments are going to be so horrible on YouTube, I don't want to go to YouTube. And I was so confused because I was like, TikTok, have you seen their comments? Has anybody seen a TikTok comment before? Because yikes. I just think there are ways that you can protect your peace. Yes, sometimes you're going to get a hateful comment, but it's the internet. But I hope that those are helpful, and if anybody else has any tips, leave them in the comments. I also made a FAQ because I was getting a lot of comments, sometimes people asking me if I would read books with them and join their book clubs, and I like to have a line between viewer and creator, and I just can't be everybody's friend. I am a creator first, and I understand that people want to talk to me about books, and you definitely can. Leave me a message on Instagram and tell me you loved a book that I read. I would love to hear that, but please stop inviting me to your book clubs. I'm so sorry, but I cannot go to everybody's book club. I cannot read every book with everybody. I am horrible at doing that anyways, and I have my own way of doing that over on Patreon. So if you wanted to buddy read a book with me, Patreon is the best way to. And I have a community on Discord, and I have it all on Patreon to protect my peace, because if I just opened it up to everybody, it would be too much for me to handle. So if you want to join me, I'm over on Patreon. We have so much fun there. We're currently doing reading sprints as I am filming this, and it's really fun over there. And those are my BookTube tips. I hope that this helped you. If it did, leave a like and a comment. And if you want a specific question answered, drop a comment and I'll reply to it. Thank you again for watching. If you want to support me further, I have a Patreon. Thank you so much to my patrons for their continuous support of my channel. It means the world to me. Like I said, I have a channel assessment video over there for $5, or you can become a paperback pal for $5 a month. And for $10 or $10 a month, you can have access to a vlog I'm filming currently for my Patreon, the top tier, where I am filming the behind the scenes of how I make a reading vlog. So if that's interesting to you, the link is down below. If you want more content like this, I will link my vlog where I shared a day in the life of being a content creator. I go over my thumbnail making, editing, and all of that stuff. And you can subscribe here. Thanks for stopping by my channel. I hope you're all taking care of yourself, and I hope to see you in my next video very soon.